Let's start out with a review of the area specifics. So these two that I'm holding are the 1-2 area specific, also known as the Rightie 1-2. One has a little bit shorter working end than the other. So this would be, the shorter one would be for a more narrow anterior pocket. And just as a review, this would be what we call a simple shank compared to a posterior Rightie, which has a complex shank. So these instruments have toes, not tips. They are good to use supragingivally and subgingivally. And the reason they're called area specifics is we can only use them in certain areas of the mouth. A review of the way that blade is on these instruments. Let's make sure I have these going the same way. The face is offset to that lower or terminal shank. So this will be the face of the instrument, the top part of the spoon, so to speak, and this is the shank. And if we look at this face, we'll see that it is offset 70 degrees, meaning instead of being at 90 degrees to the terminal shank, it is angled down a little bit. So this would be the working blade that we use on the tooth. When I turn these this way, this is what it looks like. When I turn them this way, this is what it looks like. So oftentimes students will hold them up to the tooth to determine the correct end, but sometimes students use the numbers on the handle. So this is the 1, 2, that means this is the 1 end and this is the 2 end. And if I'm going to work on these lower anteriors, for instance, the surface toward me, I am going to want to use the 2 end. So let's bring that up. There we go. And this is going to be the correct end, the 2 end. So as I'm looking at it, this is the correct working blade, the working side. And you're really going to need to stand way up on your fulcrum when you start working, because when you end, we want to be as straight up and down as possible interproximally. That is going to ensure that the face is at 70 degrees to the tooth. If we end working like this, the face is what is scaling the tooth, and instead we want to stand up and get that blade to be working on the tooth. To start on these lower anteriors, we work in a sequential order. So we would start on 27 and complete the distal from the mid facial to the distal. And then we would do the mid facial of 26 and work to the distal. 25, 24, 23 from the mid to interproximal, or 24, 23, and 22. The correct stroke to use here is we want to pretend that this side toe is a shovel, only the handle is not coming out this direction, it's coming out to the side. So that when we use the closed stroke, I'm going to back out just a little bit to show you. My handle is going to go toward the nose to insert, and then away just a little bit to make the stroke. Towards the nose to insert, away just a little bit to make the stroke. The handle goes towards the nose to insert, away to stroke. Now this is a teeny tiny little motion. It's not gigantic, but this is going to give you some good action for making a stroke. As I come interproximally, that stroke's going to change just a little bit. The handle's now going side to side. So the stroke is going to my right, or to the patient's, let's see, to the right to insert, to the left to stroke, to the right, insert, to the left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke. So I'm stroking on that handle going to the left to make my upward motion. And what you'll see happening with my hands is I'm gently inserting and making my pinch pressure on my fingers is going to help with that upward stroke. So let me make this closer for you. I'll start in the middle. My handle comes towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke, towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke. Nose, insert, me, stroke, teeny tiny. And now as I'm coming around that line angle, my handle's going to the right to insert, to the left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke. I'm coming in approximately, I'm really rolled. Right to insert, left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke, right to insert, left to stroke. And this is what it would look like in real time. So my upward stroke is taking place when my handle is straight up and down. And you would work all the way across like that. To do the surfaces away, on this canine still. Got to determine the correct end. Let's come away for that. So determining the correct end, it's going to be opposite of what we just used. So if we just used the two end, I'm going to want to switch to the one end. And this is the correct working end here. I'm really going to want to be straight up and down. Let's see if I can make this better. I think I'll work on this lateral since it's in better view for you. So my handle's going to come towards the nose to insert and away to make the stroke. Close to insert, handle away to make the stroke. So what's happening is I'm closing up on that face just a little bit. To insert. And then opening up to stroke. So let's slow it down. Handle towards the nose to insert, away a little bit to stroke. Handle towards the nose to insert, away to stroke. Handle towards the nose to insert, away to stroke. And as I'm coming interproximally, my handle's going to need to go back and forth. So as I'm coming interproximally, my handle goes to the right to insert, to the left to stroke, to the right to insert, to the left to stroke, to the right to insert, to the left to stroke. Make the camera better for you. Okay, handle to the right to insert, to the left to stroke, right to insert, to the left to stroke. I think you're able to see. There we go. That might be better. want to end with a straight stroke up on the tooth, and the handle is coming up towards the patient's nose. Right to insert, left to stroke. And you would follow that same rule with each of the instruments or each of the teeth for the anterior area. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this head back, and we're going to look at posterior instrumenting. As a review, we have 3 different instruments we use for the posterior: the 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, 18. When we look at these handles, and you can look at these, I recommend looking at them just to make sure you get the right one, okay? So there's this one's the 17, 18, and followed by the 13, 14, and 15, 16. We can put them in order if we want to, but we know that the 17, 18 is going to be for the distals of molars. The 15, 16 is going to be for the mesials of molars and premolars, and the 13, 14 is going to be for the distals of premolars. So when we start working on a posterior area, we are going to complete all the distals first, followed by all the mesials. So the way that would look is to pick up that molar instrument, because we want to start all the way in the back. And to choose the correct end, you're going to want to hold this up. And whenever that lower shank is parallel or fits right into that interproximal space, we know we've got the right end. Therefore, if I'm looking at this instrument here, this is going to be, here's our shank straight up and down, and this is going to be the blade that we use to instrument the tooth. And I can go ahead and do all the way back here. I'm just going to have to get the cheek out of the way. So you'd have to have your mirror, but I want you to be able to see what's happening. We want to end our upward stroke, we want to have this as straight up and down as possible. So for the distals, what the close, insert, open stroke is going to look like is to bring the handle down a little bit to insert, and then up to make the stroke. Bring the handle down to close, insert, up to stroke. Handle down to insert, up to stroke. Down to insert, up to stroke. So you would start at this distal line angle, bring the handle down to insert, open to stroke, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke. And then we would come to tooth number 31. We're going to bring the handle down to insert, up to stroke. I'm starting at that distal buccal line angle, up to stroke, down to insert, 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 up to stroke. And we're going to go to tooth number 30. Start at that line angle, bring the handle down to insert, the handle up to make your stroke, down to insert, up to 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 stroke. And then we would come to tooth number 29. So I'm going to pick up my 13, 14. We want to choose our correct end, so I'm going to hold it up. And this is going to be the correct end, which is the 14 end. Same idea, I'm going to start at that line angle, bring the handle down to insert, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke. And this is how it would look fast. What we don't want to see is the handle up to insert and down to make the stroke. Okay, what's happening when this is your stroke is that you're burnishing calculus and closing up on the face to make your stroke. So we want to bring the handle down to insert, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke, down to insert, up to stroke. And let's go on to this premolar here, number 28. Handle down to insert, up to stroke, 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 down to insert, up to stroke. To complete that quadrant, we're going to get our 15, 16 and start all the way in the back. So to choose our correct end, we want it to be straight up and down in that interproximal space. So that is not correct. This is. So I'm going to want to start at that distal buckle line angle. Closing to insert is going to mean bringing the handle towards the nose to insert and towards me to stroke. Towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke. These are oblique strokes. Handle towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke. And I'm pushing with my thumb to make that scale stroke. Handle towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke. Nose to insert, towards me to stroke. And as I get to that line angle, my handle's going to be going up and then down to stroke. Handle up to insert, down to stroke. Up to insert, down to stroke. Or up towards the top of the patient's head for the insertion and down towards their chin for the stroke. This is a little bit easier and more natural for us. We're going to work on tooth number 31. Start at that line angle. My handle's going to go towards that nose to insert and then towards me to stroke. Handle towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke. Handle towards the nose to insert, me to stroke. Nose, me, nose, me. That's going to give you that shovel type stroke where you're going to be able to get under some calculus and pop it off. And as I'm rolling, my handle direction is going to switch more to the top of the head to the chin, up and down, up to insert, down to stroke, up to insert, down to stroke, up to insert, down to stroke. Tooth number 30. Towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke, and that's closing it up to insert, towards me to stroke. Nose, me, nose, me. Close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open. Up, down, handle up, handle down, handle up, handle down, handle up, handle down. Close, open, close, open. 29, the same way, start at that distal buckle, bring the handle towards the nose and then towards me. Nose, me, nose, me, close, open, close, open, close, open, up, down, close, open, up, down, close, open. Handle towards the nose to insert, towards me to stroke, nose to insert, me to stroke, oblique strokes coming across the buckle, and vertical strokes in the interproximal area. Let's show you what that looks like up on the maxilla here. So I'll start with my 17, 18, and it's going to be a little different because I'm trying to show you what's going on. You're going to be using your mirror. So I'm going to get the cheek out of the way. Let's see if I can make this be the same direction that it would be intraorally. we would want to start at that distal buckle line. I'm going to work from this molar forward just so you can see. So the handle now is going to come up towards the nose and down for the stroke. Up to insert, down for the stroke. Up to insert, down for the stroke. And then when we switch to the 13-14, it's going to be the same idea. Get your right end going. Start at that distal buckle line angle. And the handle's going to come up to insert, down to stroke. That's going to close it up and open it. And it's going to be the same for the premolar. What we don't want to see is handle down to insert and up to stroke. Because what is happening when you do this motion is you're actually closing up on the face to make your stroke. So we have to raise the handle and then lower the handle to make the stroke. So let's go over to this upper left area and see what it would look like. I'm going to work on this first molar for you. Sorry about all the adjusting. Oh, you work very well for me. Okay. So the correct end is going to be this end. And my handle is going to come towards the nose or up to insert and towards the mandible to stroke. So I start on that distal buckle line angle, bring the handle towards me and then away from me, or up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Whoop. Or towards the nose to the chin, nose to the chin, nose to chin. When I get that 13-14, it's going to be the same motion. Not the correct end, the correct end. So I bring the handle towards the nose to insert, towards the chin to make the stroke. Nose to insert, chin to make the stroke. Nose towards the to insert, towards the chin to stroke. When I come to number 12, bring the handle towards the nose to insert, towards the chin to stroke, towards the nose to insert, towards the chin to stroke. Now this is unnatural, and what we usually end up seeing is bringing the handle towards the chin to stroke, and then towards the nose, towards the chin to insert, and towards the nose to stroke. And this is not correct, because what's happening is that face is closing up as you make the stroke. So you want to bring the handle towards the nose to insert and towards the chin to stroke. We want to end with this lower shank parallel to the long axis of the tooth. Otherwise, we're burnishing calculus. And then lastly, we're going to take our 15-16, get the correct end, which is going to be a 15 end. And I'm going to start at this line angle. And I'm going to bring the handle down towards the floor to insert and up towards me to stroke. Handle down towards the floor to insert and towards me to stroke. Floor, insert, me, stroke. Floor, insert, me, stroke. Floor, insert, me, stroke. Floor, insert, me, stroke. These are oblique strokes. And as I come to that interproximal area, my handle is going to go towards the chin, then towards the nose. Chin, nose. Chin to insert, nose to stroke. Chin to insert, nose to stroke. Let's go to this premolar. I'm going to bring the handle down to insert, towards me to stroke. Down to insert, towards me to stroke. Down to insert, towards me to stroke. Let me bring that out just a little bit so you can see what's happening with the handle. Bring the handle down to insert, towards me to stroke. Down to insert, towards me to stroke. And as I'm coming towards that interproximal area, my handle's going to be going left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. So left to insert, right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. When I come to number 12, handle's going to go down towards the floor to insert and towards me to stroke. Floor to insert, 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 me to stroke. And as I get to that line angle, my handle's now going to be going to the left to insert, to the right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. So let me just show you what my handle looks like when I'm doing the distal, since maybe it was backed out too far. For the distal, the handle is coming towards the nose to insert, towards the chin to stroke. Nose to insert, chin to stroke. Nose to insert, chin to stroke. And let's hop down here. So to do the distals of these premolars, I'm flipping my end, and my handle is going to need to come towards the chin to insert, towards the nose to stroke. Insert, open. Close insert, open stroke. Close insert, open stroke. So the handle's going down to insert, and the handle's coming up to stroke. Down, up, down, up. Handle down, handle up. Handle down, handle up. The 15, 16. To insert, the handle is going to come down towards the floor and then up towards me. Down towards the floor, up towards me. Down towards the floor, up towards me. Down towards the floor, up towards me. Down towards the floor to insert, up towards me to stroke. As I come to that line angle, the handle's going to be going from the left to insert to the right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. Left to insert, right to stroke. So as you're watching yourself, make sure that you have your good grasp, okay? And make sure that your ending strokes, your scale strokes, are going to lead towards this shank being straight up and down, not, let's see, with the distal. It's easier to show you with the distal. We don't want to end like this. We want to end with that shank straight up and down. Okay,